a mist coat of paint. Basically, it's in the name. It's a thin, watery coat of paint. When you buy contract emulsion, what it may say sometimes on the side of the tin is ideal for new plaster work. Well, it is, but if you open it, stir it up and put it on the wall, you're going to have a problem. Always look on the side of the tin and read what it says, because on a tin of paint that says ideal for new plaster, it will give you a ratio to thin down to apply it to the wall. You're not necessarily after getting this plaster obliterated in the first coat. You need to seal it to stop the porosity and also highlight any imperfections. Right up to the plaster here. Now when I talk about absorption, porosity, I've got some water and a 4-inch brush, and I'm going to put some water onto that plaster there, and you'll just see the suction rate, how it'll take this water up. Notice how suddenly it's gone. It's obviously run a bit, but that's dried back. Put a bit more on this side. So that is the reason why you thin your paint down. If I was to put this on neat out the tin, the suction rate would be so quick it would pull all the moisture out that paint before it's had a chance to get onto here. The idea of a mist coat is you're able to get it on, it penetrates into the plasterwork, and then when you come with your next coat it bonds to what you've put on. I've got a bucket with some warm soapy water in. I've got my emulsion paint in here thinned out, and I've got a bit of paint in here thinned out. And generally the consistency is, you can see how thin that is. Don't want it over thin, but it needs to be able to come off that brush because you need it to sit on that wall. Well, generally, mist coating new properties is a lot easier. Usually when you go in, you won't have any skirting boards fitted, architraves, there might not be any light fittings, because generally first fitting gets done, you'll just have wires sitting out, back boxes, you just emulsion through, no carpets, anything like that. In properties like this, where they're being lived in, then you're going to have skirting boards. Here I've got a dado rail, so you will need to mask up and always have that bucket of water with you. So I'll get this coated up. Remembering I'm not necessarily after getting this coated up in one. As I'm applying it, I'll be knocking back those thick edges. Make sure there's no thick edges anywhere. even with this being thin, don't allow any thick edges to build. Okay. Now the fun begins. I'm not going to I'm not going to use a roller pole on this, just to show you what happens. So again, I'm not necessarily wanting to cover, make sure all the plaster's got a coat, but I'm just getting rid of any thick edges. Okay, I'll take a closer look. So that was only a small area of wall that I did. But because the paint was thinned off, you can see how much spray is on my hand. And again, that was only one small wall. So then when you look at the top here, misted with the paint, loads of spots everywhere, great big spots, which you'll always see on new build floors when this has been done. So looking at that there on my hand, you imagine mist coating a ceiling. So sometimes these aren't necessarily done correctly because of all this. I mean, you'd look like a snowman after rolling a ceiling, thinning it out. So when we talk about the plaster grinning through, you can see how it's thin, almost like you're looking through mist. You see the background. So that's okay. That doesn't need to be covered in one coat. That's done its job. That'll seal that plaster. Now when I come to put my surface coating on there now, I won't have any problems. If I was to paper over this, I won't have any problems because this paint is allowed to draw in to the plasterwork simply just by thinning it down. And then any imperfections in the wall are easily visible with this. I can fill that and I can go ahead and put me 2 coats of paint which would have to go on here. Once the mist coat is completely dried, what you can do is with a block and some 180 grit paper, give it a sand, a light sand, and then go ahead and fill any of the imperfections in the plasterwork. That way you'll get really smooth walls.